All right, guys. Welcome back to a new episode of the podcast. As usual, we have the usual guests, but then we also have a special guest today, Etty. But then for people who haven't seen us before, I'm Tosin.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Kaede.
And we do this every 2 weeks. We try to give you guys new content, and we just want to catch up on what's been happening in sports lately. So.
Yeah, so I guess let's let our guest start here. So
Fantastic. Hi, Etty. That's what I go by mostly. I know the lads over here. I'm a soccer coach. I've been coaching for about almost 8 years now.
wow.
Etty and I coach together, by the way.
Well, you mean like 8 years, like full time or like part time? Full time would have started in 2016.
Oh, okay. Yeah, can you actually? One of the reasons why I thought you'd be a very, very interesting guest was because I wanted people to hear more about like the experience of like coaching and the detailing it involves. Like you were in Portugal for coaching, like
Something like that.
Portugal, and where else did you go?
Mexico.
What just like whatever you can share about that experience, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's people get it complicated. What my travels were about specifically. There's a lot of talk about coaching, but mainly Mexico and Portugal was soccer education, not just coaching. Okay. So I did a soccer business master's out there, and in Mexico I actually worked with a professional team in the Liga MX, where I did a lot of scouting, analysis, operations, stuff like that. Which was interesting because I learned a lot about a league that I'm a big soccer fan that I did not know.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I just found out Liga MX.
No idea. Exactly, right.
Is that like the second division?
No, that's the first division of the Mexican league.
That's crazy.
And it's crazy because most people, like, if you just find out, don't know about Liga MX. And it has literally been the best North American league for like
better than the MLS.
Yeah, MLS is just now catching up. Yeah. Actually, I think last year was the first year. Okay, not first, but maybe first time in a long time an American team won the Champions League of this side of the world. Wow. It's always been like Mexican teams.
So who's the best superstar that has come out from that league that you can name?
I don't know the league that well.
Yeah, I don't think. I think most of the players are local. Right?
But if you look at this guy, what's the Lozano?
Yeah. Lozano's from there.
Lozano, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Who else?
Yeah. I think the reason I even know that league, or most leagues I know, is because of betting.
Betting, yeah.
Yeah, like the amount of sports I actually know, like leagues, teams, players, because of betting.
Well, no, it was a good experience, and it helped me see different kind of football I didn't know about. Portugal was mainly just education, so I met with a lot of professionals that just kind of gave us talks and let us know about the industry. One of the best guys I met was actually the former president of Brighton. He was the guy who brought them to the Premier League before he left. So I think Brighton, if you don't know, we're like in 3rd division or something.
Yeah.
And then when he took over, he brought the club all the way up to the Premier League. And now, I mean, he's not there anymore, but now...
Yeah.
No, they're
I think they're one of the best run teams like in Premier League.
Definitely. I think we were speaking about this recently, that it doesn't matter who the coach is.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what players that they bring in, but they just find a way to keep that system going.
They have a good culture.
And beat Man U. It's 4 times in a row now. They beat Man U.
Yeah, they said they like playing. They mentioned that they like playing at the Old Trafford. I'm like, this is taking.
That's wild.
But you know what's interesting about speaking to the guy was I just like, he wasn't even one of our like teachers. I just met him and we spoke for 4 hours, and I didn't know this until it was done. And there's 2 things he told me that stuck with me. One was about like players. So he said that like what's his name? The guy that went to Tottenham, Bissouma.
Yeah.
They all hype around him that why he wasn't too mad about Bissouma leaving is because of his attitude. And remember, like, before Bissouma left Brighton, there was a problem with signing him. He was meant to go to Arsenal, Man U, but coaches didn't want to sign him because he had character problems. And so that's why it's not part of the Brighton culture. Yeah. So that Brighton wasn't mad about, like, if all players that Brighton have sold, he's the one that, like, didn't really fight about.
Yeah, we didn't hear too much about it.
Yeah, it was just like, sure, he's gone. Look at Caicedo, 100 million. McAllister was a big deal. Everybody else, but like him, Same thing happened with Trossard recently, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I found really, really fascinating with this guy was obviously the guy who has been in the game since before God knows when. He's seen any player you can imagine. Ronaldo, the Messi, Figo, Ronaldinho, De Lima. So we had to ask, who was the best player you've ever seen play? Who do you think he said?
Mutuma.
I'll guess Delima.
I thought so, no?
Maybe Vieira or some
No.
like Premier League legend.
Ronaldinho.
No. It shocked me because he said Michel Platini.
Oh yeah,
And
Platini.
Platini was a great player, but no one ever brings him up in any argument.
So the reason why is because Platini didn't play for long. He had a very good peak. He won 3 Ballon d'Ors and retired before he was 30.
Yeah.
So like,
Before he was 30,
so you won't think that far.
You don't think that far, but he was
great.
fantastic when he played. But yeah, so I mean, that was just part of the experience. Made some good connections, like that guy, and just learned a lot about the industry that, as a fan, you don't really see, right?
For sure.
So,
and that's something I picked up like while coaching with you as well. Like, there's a lot of things, details that like people don't notice during the game. Like, I used to think that why a coach is so important, like why they paid so much money. Like, it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, and why do they always get blamed? But when I started like coaching with you and seeing some of like the details that goes into like every single like system, how you want to play, like it's always frustrating when your team doesn't execute. Like, I can understand why, like especially in recent football, why they're always changing coach, because it's like, if this guy doesn't work, let's try a new system. You know, and if that system works for a while, like, you know, we can stick to that.
It definitely makes a big difference. I think when I started coaching, my whole mentality changed from playing. As a player, you know, you're in the game, you can control it physically. Once you step out of it, you have to think so differently. It's crazy.
You can't think about your individual play or one or two people. You have to think about like what can affect the entire team.
You know,
like how the 3-4-3 would work, how the 4-4-2 would work, like all those things. I didn't even think there was a difference.
And because like most times as a player, you think you're a good player, right? Yeah. So you think if something's going wrong, give me the ball, I can change the game. As a coach, you know, okay, let's say Toto is my best player. He can't do it by himself. So what can I do to make sure he can bring out the best in this guy who's not that good? That's how systems work, right? So you see teams like Pep and stuff and say, oh, they signed this guy. How can this guy play for Man City? But it's because this guy is so good that he knows how to bring this guy out to make him look better and make that guy look decent. Yeah. And that's what coaches do.
So that's a good analysis, because this guy, the guy that plays left wing for Man City, the guy with the huge calves. I'm sorry, I'm bad. Jack Grealish is a good example of what he just said. Because him as a sole player, he's talented and everything, but he can also get missing in the game. But if the midfield is working well, he'll be shining in the game. So
it's a very good player to bring up, because look at Grealish. He's an individualistic player. And before Man City, he really was that.
Yeah, he was.
Right? That's why his first season in Man City, he struggled. Because you come in as a player who carries the team on his back, and City's not like that. So that first year, he had maybe 3 assists, 1 goal in 20-something games. The next year, he became more of a system player.
Yeah.
And we didn't see as much of the Grealish taking on 5 players, but we saw a treble-winning Grealish. Right? So... But yeah, I guess that's my intro going.
That's really interesting.
Nah, that's mad insight still.
So wait, from your perspective, because I've been having this ongoing conversation since like last season of this podcast, what do you think is the problem with Chelsea football team currently? Do you think it's the coach, or do you think it's the players?
With Chelsea, I think it's the club as an organization itself, right? They went through the whole thing with Roman. Which was, I mean, I guess out of the control, but I think they should have handled it better, especially with the way he handled it. No, I mean, I'm not trying to say I support Roman, but he handled it very well from a guy who was not in a great position. He let them go with the debt, whatever, and said he would step away, and whatever, he had to go. Okay, you don't have an owner, you don't have a coach, whatever, but then you have to manage your club a little bit better. They didn't do that. Todd Bowley came in, and I guess he just wanted to make a quick change. Dropped in $1 billion in a year and a half, maybe. And this is what, your 3rd, 4th coach now. So like, as a player, you like, every coach comes in and wants to do something different. So as a player, you have no identity, right? What am I playing like? What am I meant to do? What is the system Chelsea is trying to work with? What does the organization want to do? What are they? Obviously, you can say Chelsea want to win trophies and everything, but I don't think Todd Bowley, again, I beg Todd, but I don't think he's gone to the coaches of the team and said, this is what I wanted in the next 5 or 10 years. I think he's probably just said, Pochettino, who's the current coach, right?
Yeah.
Win something this year, and I'll give you whatever you want. You can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's their approach, which even sucks. But I know, like previously, so I was saying how I feel it's a thing of like how the club is being managed affects everyone, like the players, like that's the environment you're working in. At the end of the day, they are working to. Just like if things are not settled high up, there's no way you're going out there to play your ball.
Yeah.
Like just comfortably, like be yourself and all that. So it's like for me and those guys, like from our recruitment to directors to everything, bro, they're all over the place.
It's the same in any organization, right? Like think about it this way: when you don't know, when nothing is certain, you can't be certain. For example, I have a friend who used to work at Twitter. When Elon Musk took over, the whole company was shook. So people working weren't doing the best because you're kind of afraid.
Yeah,
I
don't know what's going on.
Same thing with Chelsea. Anybody can get kicked out.
Yeah.
So as a coach, as a player, like you could be signing the Lukaku was 70 million, and then boom, you're selling him. Right?
Yeah, in over a season, like
just
there's
loaning him out like he's
so many moving pieces. Yeah, and I think the biggest problem with Chelsea is there's zero patience right now, and it's probably the worst era for coaches.
Yeah.
Like it couldn't, like for example, you fire Lampard, you bring on a coach that's doing well. I always feel bad for what's his name, Potter, because Potter was in his like tiny cave managing Brighton,
doing well.
Like just doing a proper project. They brought him out to Chelsea, just give him a shit ton of money and players, and like they're like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like we want a system, and we're not going to use Tuchel because he doesn't agree with us, but we can control you. We can tell you what to do.
Yeah.
We bring you in, and then obviously you're not getting the results you want, right? And then you fire him, you bring on Lampard for like a semi-second stint, which I think is probably the worst record ever for a coach between the amount of games he played. I think he won 1 or 2 games, and he lost like...
Lampard, bringing in Lampard is ridiculous.
It was so confusing to me.
There's absolutely no reason for me to think Lampard would just, keep everyone, balanced. Because the season was dead.
Was that an interim position where were they trying to see if they could continue with him, or they knew they weren't?
No, they knew they weren't. But at the same time, I felt like it's pointless. Might as well have left the assistant
coach
manager
as the head coach,
because Lampard is not coming there to do anything.
But what if Lampard won every single game while he was there?
But see, that's the funny thing about those guys. Those guys are clueless enough
to
for Lampard to watch them like that. Where it's like, yo, maybe we were looking in the wrong direction. Let's look at this Lampard
for
guy.
Next season.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm sure at the back of their mind, they probably had that. But I think the biggest reason they went with Lampard was apparently, obviously, then fans were unsettled. Like, everyone was angry.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And they just felt like, oh, Lampard being such a huge part of the club, would keep fans calm.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, like when they appointed Lampard, they appealed to that side of Chelsea fans. It's just you know what? It's Lamps. He's not here for anything, right? Like he's not winning anything.
There was
exactly.
You know what it was? You know how you say there was uncertainty? There was something that it couldn't get any worse.
Exactly. It was like, it couldn't get any worse, right? And then Lampard comes in.
Surprisingly,
what? Ain't no fucking way this guy is worse. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it now became more frustrating because as a fan now, it's like the season is done. It's like, okay, at least let's see our players the ones we want to see, the exciting players, even though we're losing, let them put on a show. Then those players, he was not now playing them. He was now playing like the old players that we knew they were leaving the club. It's just like, bro, like what are you doing? So yeah, I think that part now frustrated Chelsea fans a little bit more. It's just like, bro, this guy is not winning games. He's not even tying games. He's not playing the players we want to see. So it's like, bro, man, like just fuck off, man.
I would say like Lampard had a different agenda. Like he wanted to stay at Chelsea.
Oh, yeah, he wanted to.
So what the fans wanted to see, what the owners wanted to see, was definitely not what he was doing. He was looking for a way to actually win those games, and sadly, he wasn't able to move forward with that. But then, similar to Chelsea, I think Man U have gone through the same thing, but just for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Like Man U, I wish we had some form of insight that would actually tell us what's happening, like in there, because
it's obvious that it's also an issue with the ownership the fans and everybody in Man U wants that club to be sold to people that have
it's
money.
out there.
But they don't want to sell it. The owners don't. Glazers don't want to sell it.
But it's not an issue of money though.
It's not an issue of money, but it's just how the club is being run.
How
Ronaldo
the
said
club is
it.
being run, exactly.
That, equipment here are old. The same equipment that I met here as well. And it's not normal.
Well, it's not,
things
right?
have to change.
You can
So I
think
think
about
that's
like
what's going
players
on.
are coming into Man U thinking this is Old Trafford, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But you're looking at what they call it, the Amazon Stadium that Tottenham has, Emirates, Etihad, everything's getting renovated, getting better.
Yeah.
Right. And now somebody who came in at 18 years old comes back at 37.
It's the same thing.
I tell you, it's the same gym.
That's
it's the same
that's
pool.
actually
That is
insane.
absurd.
When you
man.
think about it, that
Like-
makes no sense.
It means there's no growth going on in
Yeah,
there.
and it's
Right?
clearly the owners.
And they
don't
had
want
to
put
kick
in
him
that
out
money.
once he had that interview. They're like, he gotta go.
Yeah. Even Sancho is facing the same thing. Sancho's they're going to loan him out to
And
Germany.
I think that the club is still under the influence of Ferguson.
Oh yeah.
Like you have to detach at some point from like that form of leader. If he's not going to be the coach, you don't really need him there. Like,
But
you
But
can
I
get-
don't really think so though, because I feel like it's some Godfather vibes that
Literally.
is going on there. Do you get?
Same
But
thing with Arsenal.
Yes,
Well, I don't think-
No, not
Godfather
saying
vibes.
not saying
No, he is.
Arsenal.
He's
He's
still
an
out.
advisor, but he's not like
But
making certain calls on like this should be the coach.
Yeah, because we change owners.
but Fergie is not doing like that
Oh,
either.
yeah, I don't think he
businessman.
has that much of an impact.
Yeah,
I think
Ferguson
they
when he
respect-
left, yes, he suggested David
But
Moyes.
Ferguson still has his people there.
Of course.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Oh, yeah,
like
now, yeah,
even
yeah,
the, what's the guy
He's no
that
more
what's the guy
that guy was
ended
there
up-
for how many
Yeah,
years?
25 years.
Yeah, but then I mean those people are still in. You know how like as a coach, right? Like for example, like when a coach brings in his own staff, when he's leaving, he goes with them as
Yeah.
well. Like now, I think Ferguson has put those guys in very, very solid positions where they can make calls. I don't know what's the name of the guy, Ragnarok or something.
Oh yeah,
Ragnar.
Yeah, like that guy was a sport director or some stuff or some
Yeah.
shit, and then they made him a coach. Like Ronaldo was like, what does this guy know about coaching?
But
No, but Rangnick was coaching in Germany.
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, I think
and even he said
he did well.
He said similar things to what Ronaldo said, that like things that are old and things
You gotta
that
look at it
change. So it can take
again,
like 5 years. to
Fergie,
change
Yeah, he
everything.
did say that.
But Tosin, the other way to look at it, I feel you're looking at it too much from a footballing perspective, where it's just like someone that has been at a company for 20 years or thereabouts, like you've won titles, there's respect for you all over the organization. If you leave the organization, forget your coaching staff. If all your coaching staff even leave, like they're going to be higher ups. He's also an older guy, you know what I'm saying? So they're higher ups
respect you.
that respect him and everything. So it's like it's one of those things, if something is going on with the club, right, they can always just hit him up like, bro, like what's going on?
How did this work out for you
exactly, and
before?
vice versa. He can always just reach out. It's just like, yo, man, like what's really going like what's the issue?
No,
Let's see
that's-
if we can try and solve it, right?
That's
That's
very
different,
true
though.
because if in every other industry is the same. Like I know for a fact, I mean, people might not know the bank, but Zenith Bank in Nigeria had a Jim Ovia who founded the bank and owned it for years. At a point in time, CBN said that you can't be in a company for this long. You have to go. So they kicked him out. And what he did back then was buy the building next to Zenith headquarters and make it his own office. He was not the CEO of the company anymore, but he was still kind of running it. So whoever took over was like, yeah, I run Zenith, but Jim,
That guy was really
that guy
you know, you did this
yeah.
thing. How did you work? So it's something like Fergie, you were so successful for 25 years. How did you do it? But what I don't know what Fergie's doing, but what he probably not telling them that when Fergie was in charge, he had the best relationship he could have with the sports director and the owner. So when he wanted something, it was a team thing.
Yeah.
It's not like Mourinho came in and it's like, this is what I want. This guy doesn't agree. I don't care. What I do. Fergie was like, hey, do we see the same picture? I want this. Do you understand why I want this? The guy's like, yeah, I agree. Let's do this together. That's why he was so successful. He never really had quarrels with the higher ups.
Yeah.
Same thing with Wenger, Arsenal. People are like, oh, why did he never get sacked? Because they were seeing the same picture. When coaches come in, I think Ten Hag came in and they had that similar thing at the beginning where they thought they saw the same. I mean, maybe they still see the same picture, right?
That
When
picture must
David-
be blurry. It has to be.
When David Moyes came in, was very different, right? The first thing he did, sacked everybody in Ferguson's staff,
Yeah.
brought in everybody from Everton. Remember when people were saying, how can you go to Harrods and bring in Walmart employees? and and that would work in a sense if that staff then connects with the higher ups. But it has to then thinking like, probably the same thing.
Who are
How
these
can you
people?
sack
Yeah.
Harrods employees and bring in?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's where David Moyes kind of failed. And then from then on, people are always trying to live up to the past. It's not just coaches though.
Yeah.
Look at Arsenal. Leave Wenger. Look at Thierry Henry's legacy. Since Henry left, strikers have struggled, except for Van Persie, who just was phenomenal. Guys have come and tried to fill that, and it just becomes harder. Look at Chelsea, DJ Drogba.
Yeah.
Since Drogba left, you had that Diego Costa spell.
Maybe like to give us 2 good seasons.
Yeah, but other than that, people have come.
Yeah, strong.
I just feel like the culture of a team really matters. Like we can see at Arsenal right now, like how the culture has made such a big difference. And there has to be a system working. Even with like Liverpool, there's a culture, there's a system. Like we know what they're about. But with Chelsea and Man U, I feel like I watch some games and I don't see like an identity. Like I don't see like, oh, this is how Man U plays. Oh, this is how Chelsea plays. Like, and then, I know we're having this discussion, but like I think right now, Man U are definitely in a worse position because they've been doing this for so many years and they can't still seem to figure it out.
Yeah.
They've changed like,
honestly,
and they've spent just as much money as all these teams that you're talking about. That's what's
Yeah.
surprising.
second most, I think. After
When you actually deep in, you realize they spend just as much money. So it's no longer a thing of like, oh, like, yeah, we know the owners are trash, but like the money is there.
I guess the question I was going to ask, which it seems like you just answered, was I was like, based off of discussion we're having, like who's worse off, like or who's in the worst position, like.
If you guys remember the beginning of like the previous conversation that we had, that you were asking like who do you want to be in top 10 for this season and top 6.
Yeah.
Man U was not in my top 6.
Yeah.
Because they are worse. Chelsea, I see Chelsea like they're still going through a transition phase. They just change their owners, everything is changing. So I can understand them struggling now. But Man U is declining. Chelsea can like go up this season, but Man U is clearly declining.
I would disagree with that. I would say Chelsea are worse off because again they have zero identity. From
once they find their identity, they can find it anytime.
Pochettino can't bring their identity.
Maybe
if they find it this season,
I agree.
But you think Man U will find it?
The difference is what Chelsea's hoping to find is kind of what Man U found when they brought in Ten Hag. He came in with identity and it worked.
Barely though, for a short period of time.
Yeah.
Exactly. The only reason it's failing now, it's not even failing now. We're 5 games in, relax. But
I think
off
of last season.
Off of last season.
Here's what I
did
think with Ten Hag.
They are in the Champions League, right?
Yeah, I think what happened with Ten Hag, right, is to your point, they found that identity, and it's like they were getting stronger in it, and then all of a sudden something happened.
This is what happened.
They've just been on a decline ever since.
Because they had a summer break in which Ten Hag, maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was the upper ups, trying to build a Man City. Like you can't transition that fast.
Yeah.
Something Chelsea trying to do, you can't just sign players and hope you have
it would work out.
You know?
They signed but even if they want to do a Man City, like they signed way too many players.
But that's the thing, right? And
they signed any defenders.
They did sign a couple, maybe 1 or 2.
Who, Man U or Chelsea?
Chelsea, right?
I'm talking about
Man U. Oh, sorry, no.
But because they already signed Martinez last year, they signed
Varane the year before.
They signed they had a backup left back that signed before Regulon. They signed somebody.
Oh yeah, that short guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Mangala.
Not Dalo.
It starts from M.
Dalo? I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah, right. So they had already signed something, and then he's obviously trying to solve some of the differences. Again, if you look at Ten Hag, it's not only the fact that he made some weird transfers. I mean, they can still work out, but he's dealing with personal problems. You have Anthony having a case. Anthony's not the best player, but he was playing for him,
true.
And now he has a problem.
Greenwood was
also now you're fighting with Jadon Sancho.
Ronaldo
was that. So he's having a personal problem because he's trying to bring in a certain level of discipline that he works with.
Yeah,
and obviously Ronaldo was not. He wasn't having that. And you look at guys like Jadon Sancho, I don't know what he's beefing about. I think he might be partially in the wrong there because he hasn't been in good form. Like, what are you talking about?
You can't come out and make it public.
It was a selection issue. So they asked Ten Hag why he wasn't selected, and then he said
training performance or something like that.
Yeah, but a coach Sancho was like,
I agree. Again, Ten Hag has been a little bit strong-worded in the way he's coming. Even with Ronaldo's situation, like, bro, one thing about Pep, I'm not the biggest Pep fan, but Pep will always protect his players in the press, bash them in the locker room. And I said, coach, you can't just come out and yarn nonsense about it. Same happened with Lukaku and Tuchel. We can't do that because that ruins a lot of things, right? So he's having personal problems. The way things happen in Ajax, this is the Premier League. The English media is different, and he's probably not realizing that until it's too late. right? So now you're going to lose Jadon Sancho. Most likely that guy's never going to play well for you again.
Yeah.
Anthony might survive a case, might not. You've lost Greenwood. Rashford, as good as Rashford is, has decision-making problems, so he's not a leader. Okay?
Yeah.
Hoyland is a young striker. Martial,
You have Maguire. You don't forget
There's so much going on there, man.
There's so much. That's what I'm telling you. There was. There's just so much drama. It's like a movie.
The reason me, I think, like, the reason I would say United is worse, right? And this is not me talking as a Chelsea fan. Like, I hate my team right now. Like, I hate my team right now. But it's like, the difference is, for Chelsea, looking through our stats this season, they were suffering in only one place, finishing. Like, everything else, when it comes to, like, build-up, possession, chances created, everything, like, we're part of, like, the top 5, at least top 10 in the league. But true. Our conversion is bottom 3, right? And it's like, from just watching the games, like, you can see, okay, these guys can play ball, right? But it's like, our problem is when we get to that final third, the decision making is bad. And I feel that's something that can change with, say, better system, better runs, things like that, where I feel like a coaching whatever can solve that. And again, Poch just came in. So, like, with more time, that can change. There's no problem with let's just say, like, the squad in terms of, like, the energy, the vibe, all that. Like, you can tell, like, the chemistry is there in terms of, again, not on the field, where it's like, it's good vibes. The
like
coach and everything, right? Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things as well for us, injuries.
Yeah.
Like, we're actually
you have
suffering.
Like 12 players. But my issue with that is, you can't sign 20 players and tell me something about, like, that is what, like, so those players are there for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Chelsea has, I think, a backup or 2 backups for almost every single position.
That's the most players in the world.
But
so the thing about injuries, like, when we look at the list, there's a significant amount of, like, good players that are injured, but then you also have so many other players that are meant to step in at those moments.
Yeah, but I think the thing with that is I completely agree. And where I agree is I feel there shouldn't be such a drop when certain players are missing.
Exactly, because you have such good players.
I feel like, obviously, like, that definitely affects. Like, for instance, I know Nkunku was probably Poch's biggest, like, he was the most important piece to his plan going into the season, right? And losing Nkunku essentially just, I think, it scrambled his head, right? Because from the first, like, he made changes. We started the season, or we went preseason 4-2-3-1 every single game, right? That looked set to be our formation for the season. He loses Nkunku, and then all of a sudden, he's been trying to play 3 at the back. I mean, he will argue with you that, when we're on the pitch, it's actually 4 at the back. You have Kobe move to left back and everything, which, there's some facts to that. But again, I think losing Nkunku, just that attacking identity has gone, right? And I feel like Nkunku would probably have been the most dangerous player for us anyways.
Definitely.
Like, he's that player that, goes into, like, pockets, sniffs danger and everything. And the closest person to that probably is Sterling, just based off of maturity. But Sterling is not consistent.
And he can't finish.
That is why that's why I said Chelsea's the worst off, because you're gonna depend on these guys coming back. The problem with that is that when they come back, it's going to be late in the season or later in the season. They now need a transition period, right? So what are you going to do for half a season?
I think we're thinking long term, though. I don't think we're just focusing on this season.
Yeah.
Because, for example, so if you give Poch the rest of the season to figure this stuff out, maybe he finishes in top 4, whatever, like top 6. I feel like going into another.
I see one Brighton. I
feel like
it's a marathon,
teams like Brighton, I just never.
They always fall off. They always fall off.
And that's the thing.
That's what they said last year.
Let me tell you the best part. Let me tell you the best part about the Premier League.
What position they?
Brighton didn't fall off. They're in Europe.
Let me tell you the best part about. Let me tell you the best part about.
Big for them.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, for sure. But the best part about teams like Brighton is they just need a losing streak of 2 or 3.
And then their head gone.
And then it keeps
teams like Brighton. Sure, Brighton, no. Brighton's a different team.
I'm surprised people are saying this about Brighton.
No, I don't think. No, don't get me wrong. Like, it's just the whole top 4. No.
What about Newcastle, for example? Like, Newcastle,
Champions League.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying from this season, for example, Their first game was I don't remember who they played, but they lost 3
Liverpool.
games back to back to back.
But the difference is,
you know what I mean?
well, you
So-
know what? Newcastle is different because I said it before this season started because I play FPL. Don't take Newcastle players. They have the toughest start in the whole league.
Yeah.
Newcastle had the toughest run to begin the season, right?
They played
And
top 10
they played a game today against AC Milan, which they tied in Milan,
Yeah,
right? They didn't play great, but this is where they're going to start finding their feet again.
yeah.
Yeah, but Brighton, on the other hand, like I don't feel like they have that like togetherness to go through a rough stint and still find their feet to a point where like they can make it back to like because Liverpool we can have like a terrible season, but there's a point where like we find our identity again and like we push for
Then
let's say top 5, top 6, whatever. I don't
Yeah.
think Brighton will be able to find that once they go on a losing streak.
I think Brighton can, but I promise that Brighton don't have the depth
To survive something
Europe
like
and all that.
okay, fair enough. But I don't think they want to win anything in Europe.
They don't want to, but they have to play it.
Yeah.
And they're not going to lose.
Where
right?
are they, Europa?
Europa, yeah. Right, so playing that plus the 3 competitions in England.
This
Definitely don't have the
thing-
depth for sure.
Because
Exactly.
the thing is, at the end of the day, I feel Brighton again. I think they're one of the like well-run clubs in Premier League. But it's like at the end of the day, when it comes to winning stuff, top 4, top 5, top 6, whatever you want to call it, it boils down to quality and depth.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying, like players gas out mid-season. You know, say what's 25 games in, where it's just like, oh my, at this point it's just like, bro, the quality is not really
let's
like
see
that.
where we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always easy or easier to like start the season very well because everyone is like 100% this one down. But it's like further down the season, like that's when it's now. That's where you see teams like Man City now giving guys gap. You know,
That's
teams
exactly-
you get what I'm saying? That's
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 exactly
what
my
happened.
point with Brighton because if you look at every so-called low team that's had a good season, back to Leicester, Aston Villa in a good
Yeah.
year, West Ham in a good year, Brighton last year, how many injuries did they have that season?
Yeah, they usually have injuries though.
Very little,
They don't
right?
really have much. Those guys,
They don't really have much. Leicester that year they
those guys
won.
that go
Oh,
for
Rarely had any injury. Aston Villa the year Gerrard took over. Same
Oh yeah,
thing.
but those are teams that typically are just focused. They don't really have anything outside. Prem.
Exactly. That's why my
Yeah.
problem is now that Brighton has Europa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's squad depth. Can they actually survive? Look at Leicester when
Yeah.
they won it the next year.
Yeah, I mean, when we're having a discussion about who we feel would finish top 6, the reason I had Newcastle so low was I was like, I don't see them being able to keep up with
The squad
champs
depth is
and
not
Prem.
there, yeah.
And the problem with champs is, as opposed to Europa, you can even decide to feel like a second team and all that. But with champs,
You have
you're
to
playing your
play,
best team. So
Every
you're playing your
single
best
week.
team in champs
Yeah.
and in Premier League. I just don't.
On the bright side for Newcastle, they might not play Europa Champions League next year. It's just this year they'll come out.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think are the real contenders? And I want to emphasize that word "real" because we had some fake contenders. You know, we had one. We had 2 Arsenal fans for the first time. So you know, who do you
It's
think?
still the same. It's still Arsenal and Man City.
No, I think
it's not.
it's not just Arsenal and Man City. I think Liverpool are
Yeah.
generally contenders.
Let me chill.
I think so.
Chill.
Hey, let's
You know,
be
you know.
serious now.
Let's okay, no, let's
Should we bet on
actually
the first game?
let's actually be
Should we bet on the-
serious.
Which game?
Let's
Arsenal
actually be
versus
serious.
Talking about contenders, title, not game.
Guy, keep quiet. Let's be serious. I feel like again, as we all know, or I don't feel anyone here agrees, but I feel Man City are in a league of their own, right?
Yeah.
It's just like there's Man City,
Yeah.
and now it's a matter of who can challenge Man City. And honestly, I would rank Liverpool higher than Arsenal in terms of teams that can challenge Man City this season. And the reason I would say that is, for one, Liverpool have started the season very well, right? And I don't think they've even really figured out anything.
We haven't
Like-
scratched the surface.
Like
man.
they're still all over the place. If you're watching Liverpool, you can still
We
see
had
that
2
they're
red
still-
cards in 2 of our games.
The
Yeah.
Newcastle
So
game.
it's just like again, they're
Why
still
you
all over the
blocked?
place. You know, they're not still sure. The starting first 11 is probably not 100% yet, and things like that. Like Van Dijk got suspended. You know,
Yeah.
TA is injured, whatnot. And I feel they will get to a point where they would, like Liverpool would go on a run where it's just like the whole thing of, again, they don't necessarily have to go on a losing streak to figure out who they are, but it's like they would just be sure that it's like, okay, yes, guys, we can
This
actually
is how we're playing.
exactly. And the good thing about it is Liverpool's dressing room is filled with guys that have won Prem already, guys that have gone to battle with Man City. So mentality wise, they're not lacking.
Yep.
They just have to find the ginger where it's like we can actually win this shit. And I feel that's the edge Arsenal would lack. I also consider Arsenal a contender in terms of like they definitely can go for it, but I would have Arsenal after Liverpool.
Wait, before you go, because I want to give you guys the floor in a sec. But
That's a flow.
yes, because I know we have two Arsenal fans here. You guys are going to want to voice your opinion. I think, when I speak with you about Arsenal, there's an emotional side to it for you, but then you're also able to just look at things objectively, which I appreciate. Etsy, on the other hand, just looks at things objectively. He doesn't really look at the emotional part, because at the end of the day, if we're being honest, I don't think Arsenal this season, with everything that they had last season, I don't think they're a better team than Liverpool. We're looking at players, we're looking at squad depth, we're looking at experience, whatever you want to call it. I don't think they're a better team on paper than Liverpool. And they don't have...
no a better team even on paper last season.
Exactly.
It's not about
Yeah,
paper.
but Liverpool had,
but we had so many...
had an off
We have
season
an
last
off season
season.
last season. We had players, I keep saying this, and I was always tweeting it. We can never win a Premier League game or title with Henderson and Milner as our starting midfielders, and that was the issue.
And they fixed it.
Their
fixed
term
it.
was done after the Champions League. For me, that was just it. They were done. They could not move anymore. So I was surprised when we lost both of them, to be honest, and I'm happy we did, and we signed a whole new midfield. We signed 4 midfielders.
Yeah.
So, and aside from that, I think, like you said, we already have the experience of what it takes to either chase Man City or win it.
Yeah.
We know what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
And it's just up to the final push, and hopefully Man City are not as inclined. That's why I would hope that they're not.
That's all we can hope, because if Man City wants to, if they are come with the normal ginger, we really can't compete.
Yeah.
Also, KDB is injured. I feel like a month ago, I was so strong on Man City not winning the league. But since then, they've added 2-3 players where I'm like, okay,
they're actually still going for it.
Yeah,
And
these guys are going to be right there again.
It's funny because Kawaka made a statement apparently to the team about why are we always chasing from behind? Why don't we start the season?
Yeah, and they're 5-0 now.
And they're 5-0 now. Do you know what I mean? So at what point do they fall off? Do they even fall off at any point? Do you know what I mean? So we'll see. But
in terms of that hunger is there, because not only do players just want to be professional, like Kawaka said, they've brought in players that have the hunger.
Yeah.
Nunes, Doku, Kovacic, just guys who have really not succeeded in the Premier League yet. So bringing those guys into Man City is I'm not going to be the one who came to Man City and said, we didn't win anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing with Jack Grealish, right? When he came in, he really wanted to prove that, bro, I'm not the one that came in and said 100 million, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Right? I know when if you see Dragic after he won the treble, he was the most emotional guy on the field.
Yeah.
Right? But going back to the contending stuff, yes, like he said, on paper, Liverpool has had a better team than Arsenal for many years, right? And last year it wasn't one-off. But I think people also believe that last year was a one-off for Arsenal too. And honestly, for the longest time, I believe that too. But when you watch Arsenal play, the system is set.
Yeah.
Like you said, that Mikel actually knows what he wants to do.
Yeah.
My problem and my doubt, why I'm not as confident as I was halfway through last year, is because I feel Mikel is feeling more peppy this year. He wants to tinker. He wants to try what Pep did in that final they lost to Chelsea kind of thing, That's how Pep was until Pep learns his lesson the hard way. Mikel is going to learn the hard way too, sadly.
Yeah.
But he wants to try this and that because he thinks he's a genius. Maybe he is, right? But to me, if it works, that's why I like Klopp. If it works, Klopp would do it until they die.
Yeah, else it's not working.
Until until wheels fall off.
The perfect example is Liverpool's team last year, right? Milner, Henderson, Fabinho. These guys are run to the ground because Klopp will play them to that system doesn't work anymore. And when they have run to the ground, now I can change them. Yeah. But he also learns the hard way, like last year, right? When they are out of gas, is when okay.
I feel Liverpool with gassed out.
Because you had the midfield run to the ground.
Gassed out,
right? And the only thing he tried to do in the whole plan of that was bringing Thiago, who didn't survive 3 games in the Premier League. He was broken at the time, right?
Yeah.
So with that club going back, now that has a new young midfield, I feel like he can find his feet again and obviously compete. Would it work out? I actually believe on paper, a great team, but I feel like Liverpool defensively is going to be porous this year. Van Dijk or no Van Dijk, their identity at the back, Alisson is going to save them as much as he can. But
it's not just this year though; it's been the same.
I feel like Van Dijk is not as he's still as good individually, but I feel the command he had
People are not as
Liverpool
afraid as they
defense
were
is
anymore.
it's no longer
Right.
there.
He had an aura before.
Yeah.
Van Dijk catch one dribble.
Yeah, guys are scared to
But now
run at him.
people are more confident. It also helped back then. Same thing with Trent now. When people thought Trent could defend back then, because of that protection Liverpool gave them, you know,
respect him.
And now when people are confident to drive with them, back then Liverpool pressed so high that people were afraid to attack because Van Dijk could play a pass, Trent could play a pass. So if you lose the ball there, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Now people are like, "You score me, I score you." Right?
Yeah,
People want to attack Liverpool, right?
Yeah, the games are open.
So if Liverpool, like, even look at the game this weekend, like, was Wolves could have had at least 3 goals.
They're not, these guys are not serious.
Like,
they're not
they could have
serious.
popped them through that first half. When Liverpool again woke up in the second half and came back. So that's the thing. Like, Liverpool is going to be like the oldest school Newcastle of Alan Shearer, where we're not trying to win 1-0 like Wenger's Arsenal. We're going to score more than you can score us.
Yeah. Then we have a theme of conceding so early on too, and I feel like whenever we play bigger teams, it's going to be an issue.
Obviously, it's going to be. But I feel in Premier League, it's the same. When you play bigger teams, everything changes.
Yeah, everyone's more careful.
Everyone's more disciplined.
It's more compact.
But as a fan, I hope Arsenal is going to show.
We're going back to some things you were saying though. Is with I guess we are not changing up stuff. I think another big thing for Arsenal going into the season is I always say when you have a really good season, when you're going to the next season, this season is always harder. Like every team is now prepared for you. Yeah. Right? I feel the good thing Arsenal did, which I felt was preparing them for the season, I don't feel as strongly about it, but I could still be wrong, is you added Rice, you added Timber, So, you added pieces there where it's just like, okay, we're a stronger team. So it's like, even though you can see what's coming, you can't stop it. Right? But from this game so far, it almost feels like you're already grinding out wins.
But see, that's the problem with the game so far is, we've like you said, teams have, like last year, halfway through last year, decided to sit back against us.
Yeah.
Right? And they've come in this season with the same mentality. And we hope they're bringing in Havertz, who would allow us break that low press. And we gave him 3. Okay, I gave him 3 games. And I didn't see it. I don't know what Mikel saw, but I didn't see it. Right? And I said, why not try Trossard? And last game, we tried Trossard. Everything's always been a hard thing to break down.
Always.
Right? But last game, if you watch Arsenal's game, they were very dominant. Took us a while to score, but last year, same thing. They beat us last year, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, and then we won the reverse game. But last game, the attacking was relentless. There was more chances. With Havertz, not only is he missing sitters, or how do you air kick with your stronger foot?
If I talk to you about Havertz,
the spectators were like, I don't think I've seen that in like 5 years. I think I've seen that in a long time.
Man, you had hope because Havertz was playing. Like the goal that they scored was a mistake. He would have sealed up the game in the beginning.
You know, one thing I still don't understand,
Loki,
is how Chelsea got Arsenal and Man U to pay so much for Havertz and Mount.
Mason Mount, I think, is a good player.
No, I think he's a good. I think he's a good player.
I don't know for him, but
Mason Mount is a very
would have been good in Arsenal
signing.
It would have,
especially for a team like Man U. It's like, I'm not really sure what he was meant to add to that team.
I think what they really needed was either a proper DM for maybe Casemiro to be a bit more mobile, or a proper box-to-box midfielder. They don't need another 8 kind of hybrid
Where is
midfielder.
Mount meant to play? Because if you're going to play Mount, are you telling me you're playing Mount with Bruno, Eriksen, and Casemiro?
Like
he's not even like such a prolific like attacking midfielder where he scores a lot. It's like you're bringing another Bruno, but like a younger, a less productive
So
Bruno.
the problem with that is it's going to hurt them a lot. I feel like they're going to do it. It's going to be playing Mount, Casemiro, and Bruno.
Yeah,
the problem with that is that Casemiro is going to do too much work in that midfield defensively.
He's too old for that, man.
And he can't. He's too old for that.
It's only Prime Kante that can do that kind. Prime Kante, that's the person that can do that kind of midfield.
We'll see what happens. Maybe Mason Mount will change his game. Yeah. But just the way Bruno plays, it doesn't. I don't see it.
Okay. Should we do our predictions for our top 4 now, or are we still watching how the season goes?
You're watching. It's early.
That's a prediction.
Before we even do a prediction, one thing that I found very interesting though is Spurs.
Oh yeah.
You know, like
Even Son's statement.
And they're playing
today,
Arsenal this
he
weekend,
said,
right?
That's
he
his
said
big
Arsenal will
Don't
not
want to play us right now.
at this moment.
That is a good test, though. For
Andy
Arsenal.
Ball.
That to know if Arsenal are actually being serious this season. I feel you
Yeah,
have
that's
to.
a good test.
You have to be, like, because Man U, because listen, right? You guys beat Man U because Gabriel was smart enough. No, literally, that game was down to the wire.
no, wait, hold on,
Havertz
sorry.
cost the first half.
No,
Because,
nah,
wait.
nah.
A lot of people, a lot of Man fans said that too. Like, oh, we got lucky. We dominated the whole game.
It wasn't luck. It wasn't luck.
That you got lucky.
But then, I mean,
When it came down to the wire, we did get lucky.
And
And smart.
a lot of people didn't give him as much credit as I feel like he deserves.
that
Like
was a fantastic play.
that was a game-winning play. Like
he read it. He used
read
the
it
rules of the
perfectly.
game
But
for his
then, like
advantage.
the fact that there's VR involved and everything. I mean, the natural eye would never catch that. Do you know what I mean? But with VR and everything, I don't know how smart he was in that moment to actually think to do that because there was no way he was catching up with Garnacho. Like so, seeing him do that, like in reverse, is like wow. Like these guys are actually smart players. And then that won you guys the game because if he had scored that was the end. That was 2-1.
My thing with that game was that it should never come down to that, right? Like we showed very chances before, and if we're saying if there was no VAR, we should also have had a few. Anyway, that's no.
I don't think I
If
want
we go
to
into that 1-2,
We'll have finished that game
can do it
since first
forever.
half.
What do you think about
Tottenham? What was it? Gail Clichy just said, I don't think they played any good teams yet. We'll find out this weekend. They're playing good football. Their last game, though, they were shook. Was it Sheffield United?
Yeah, and they scored
You
two.
know, and they scored two in the last
minute
with Richarlison coming on in the header. Right, so they're playing well. I feel like they feel good, which always good. If a team feels good, they're dangerous, right? And
I think
they have a decent coach too.
Yeah, I think that you know because when he first before he came in, right, it was I guess most people didn't really know him. I know he's like more of like an offensive like coach, if anything. And I think the biggest thing for me is he just got his ideas into the team very quickly. Yeah. Like you can say like they're up and running, like they know what they're meant to do, they know how they're meant to play. And like that's the main reason they are doing this well. Obviously, again, I feel like over the span of the season, they don't really have the quality to keep up. But I feel like they're dangerous enough to be in that fight for top 4, top 5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes for them. Again, like, no offense to Man U or anything, but I feel like they haven't faced any team that's tested them. Hopefully we do. I don't want to say anything before our game, but I jinx us, right? Well, hopefully we test them and we humble them a little bit.
Who's playing at home?
Hopefully they don't humble you.
I decided to check. Hopefully they don't humble us. But again, not letting there be, no matter who's in what form, it's always going to be something spicy. Right, so we'll see how that goes. I think what I like from Tottenham was the signing, the late signing they made of Brendan Johnson.
Yeah. Emirates?
I think
they're not winning nothing in Emirates. It's not happening.
Yeah,
the late signing of Brendan Johnson I think that kid is amazing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right, so that was a very good signing because, like, if they went into this season with Richarlison as a number 9 all through, no offense to him, they would have struggled.
Yeah, and I feel like the club did an amazing job of handling the Harry Kane situation very well. It was very like the process of moving into Bayern was very smooth. There wasn't too much like it didn't affect the team too much in the point where like, oh, is he gonna stay? Is he gonna leave? I think they were
prepared for it. I feel like they knew more than most people.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So there wasn't that much confusion within the locker room.
Yeah.
Maybe for us, yes, because we're trying to figure out like, is he actually going to go to Bayern? Like, is he gonna fight for his record? Like whatever. But I feel like he did an amazing job with that. For them, and I also see that like they can compete with any team attacking wise. Like they have a good 10, they have a good 9. Richarlison is a decent 9. They just got Brennan as well. So like I feel like they have Perisic, they have decent players in that attacking position. There's another guy, Sarr. What is his name?
Solid.
That guy is a very good player. Like I watched some of his games and they still have a bit of their old team as well. So they didn't just like switch out everything. They just put the right players.
It's great for them because it's like for them it's like they have 2 new DMs in Bisuma's being this is first full season for them. And then Sarr coming in. And then that allows, which he's always liked, Maddison to play his game. Maddison doesn't like doing the defensive work, right? Yeah. So putting 2 guys, obviously black guys, behind, it really strengthens the back for them. And Maddison is just in full flow. And that's trouble. Even like Bruno Fernandes too. If you do that for him, him in full flow, it's a problem.
That's him in Portugal.
And that's why maybe if Amberba like you know, Amrabat and Casemiro.
Yeah,
with
that,
Bruno.
yeah, I think that might pick up, bro. Might pick up.
That's a good.
I feel like they signed Amrabat.
That's a good.
I don't know, man. I feel Amrabat will struggle, man.
No.
I swear.
I feel
I'm
like
telling you.
Premier League.
I'm telling you, I don't feel like he has.
You don't watch him World Cup.
Of course I did, but then that was one.
No, different.
Bro,
World Cup is not a good sample
Tournament is
size.
not a good
Where has
sample size.
Amrabat played in? What league did he come from?
Italy.
He played in Italy, yeah.
Yeah, but
I went to the
I
finals with them too.
You know the thing. You
It's
know the
good.
thing. See, I always say like they're
It's
certain.
good.
see,
I'm
there are
right.
certain
is he a
kind of-
box-to-box midfielder?
It's more like
No, he's more of a
See,
six.
like so here's the thing to say. I feel like there are certain
Four.
players like Amrabat, like maybe they're not the exact same kind like Casado and things, right? Where I feel depending on your style of play in terms of guys that say just get the ball and pass.
It's hard for you to fail.
It's hard for you to fail. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? Like it's just hard for you to fail. For you to fail, bro, I don't like you have to be really, really, really bad. Because there's no pressure of goal scoring, there's nothing. You're just cleaning up.
Yeah.
And guys don't really lose that ability until they are getting older. So it's like at a certain point in your career, if your job is to, bro, this guy is running, I'm going to stop
Chase
it.
it.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, obviously it's not easy, but it's like for those players, it's easy. Like that's what they've been doing for the last 10 years of
Yeah,
their
if
career.
you actually look historically, there's not many physical, like I'm not a physical guy, DMs that come to Premier League and fail.
yeah.
It's the ones who come and want to do more than what they are.
Exactly.
That's
If he
the one-
wants to
that's the
now
one
start
who struggle.
carrying, wants to
You
form
want
ball
transition
playing
into
to
a
pass,
ball,
exactly.
But every
That's when you're doing
every
too much.
physical DM that's come to the Prem, they've always just they're fitting.
Like see when United turned Kante to
And then
box to
it's
box.
to calm
That's
down,
when
yeah,
that's when it was
yeah.
like, oh, you now start saying, oh, Kante is not as good. Oh, Kante is no longer in his
But when
prime.
he was
But when
in-
he was just a tackler,
Even a bad good example would be Lucas Torreira. When he came in and he was sitting,
Yeah,
he was
clean.
clean. Then they started playing him left and right. Like, bro,
I think they gave him the number 11 jersey, and I was like,
they started playing him.
I'm like, what's
8-6.
going on,
What are you
like-
doing? Leave this guy at the back. Let him clean up. You know. You
Yeah.
can look at another good example. I mean, that one was more implementation is Pogba. Right? If he came and he just
Give
played
away
this
play the
comfortable,
CDM,
what
like.
he started trying to do is
Pogba, man.
Because Pogba had like, I think Pogba had like, when he was playing for Juve, I feel so bad for him, man.
I
And
feel
even with the
bad,
whole
bad for him.
drug
Drug
thing now,
thing now.
like,
Yeah.
Pogba's
It's
probably
very
had
bad.
like one of like the worst, I don't know, like,
Yeah, what's career?
worst careers,
Yeah,
you know,
actually,
just outside of football. You know, his brother was trying to like,
Jazz.
Yeah, everything. His
Yeah,
life,
he's
his
suffered,
life is
yeah.
drama.
his life is, I feel like, because he was such a, like,
prolific young
prolific
player.
young player. Like he had so much star power. Like he was a perfect number 6.
Yeah.
Won the World Cup, did this,
I
did
feel-
that. Like
I-
100 million pounds. Like
Yeah. Sometimes I want to say, like, I feel like Pogba is one of those guys that was very talented and didn't meet whatever. But it's like when you look at his resume, it still has a
he
very
still has a very good.
impressive
Yes.
resume. But I still feel
Things
like
that he
what
hit it
Pogba
early.
could have, but what Pogba could have been, I feel like he wasn't. Like when he came back to
course.
Prem, potential wise, guys are already trying to like talk about say guys like Lamps, where I feel like if he actually hits his potential and stayed at mine for like 10 years or whatnot, he would eventually have gotten into those conversations if everything
sure.
played right for him.
The problem
But
was
for some reason it just didn't.
Look at guys
Even
like
injuries.
Lance, Gerrard, guys who would have been in the conversation with him. If you look at when they came in and before they made the name, they were all protected. Pogba was tossed in with no protection with Fred.
Yeah.
He had no. They expected Pogba to do both jobs.
He was doing too much. He was doing too much.
Lampard had Michael Essien when he came in.
Makaleli
And
was there.
Makaleli. Gerrard had I'm not a guy, but you know he had I can't forget your midfielders like that.
Xavi,
GM.
not.
Yeah, Alonso was there.
Mascherano, like Mascherano.
He had guys that were also physical, so he could, transition into the game. Pogba just came in. You were
And I feel Gerrard was a
Gerrard was
And I won't lie, I don't want to sound like some of these old pundits and everything, but I feel like players like Pogba do so much outside of the game that it's such a distraction. Like so I feel like there's just so much going on outside that like to just focus on the game itself is so difficult for them because it's like, oh, you're traveling, you're doing this, you're like the face of Adidas. There's just so many things involved that it's hard for us to just be like, just play.
Yeah,
This is what you play the game.
I feel it's that social media age.
And
man.
he probably lived in that media. Like he loved everything
I feel
about
like you could do both, right? There's players who have done both, like David Beckham,
And Ronaldo.
right? Ronaldo. But again,
but they were settled and they had coaches that could be like,
where was David Beckham? If you look at Ferguson said why he him and Beckham didn't gel because Beckham thought he was a celebrity before a football player.
And that's what definitely what Pogba thinks he is.
You know, and definitely, yeah. But it also, if you look at, yes, he does think that, but he could still have been successful if he just had the right system. Look at Pogba's successful year in UV. Again, he had the protection of who? Bello and Marquisio.
Yeah,
Right? He was never just alone.
Yeah. He was playing that. He was playing. No one just like you just put him in and say, "Guy, just play your ball."
Yeah, that's what
You know what I'm
was,
saying?
right?
Like, it was painful to watch because you could see like bits of it in Man U. There was a game where like Man U were down 2-0 against Man City. Pogba scored 2. They were just tiny glimpse of like what he could be, but then he never put like a long run. We could never see him playing in a certain position for a long period of time. So it was, I don't know, man. I definitely just feel bad that his career has gone because right now apparently he's banned from Italy for 4 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, when you get asked to do more than what you can, your body starts giving up on you because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Right. So he's used to being protected and just doing his own simple thing. I track back, defend.
You know,
you can see it in other players. Hamilton Hazard. You know, he goes to Madrid. Apparently in Chelsea, they just let the guy just vibe by training.
Anything.
And then imagine say train. Can't play.
Injury after injury after injury. I think he was considering retiring actually.
I think more or less he has, to be very honest. But also like it's also one of those things where there was a time all season like Mourinho used to cry about how like they should protect Hazard, like referees. I know there was a period where he used to get like every game Hazard blood and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, Mourinho's thing then was just like, oh, it's like, you know, one season, you know, next season, you guys would just not have Hazard, that all these injuries will catch up to him. And I feel like once he went to Madrid, that's exactly what happened. Like his body has taken so much while in Prem that it's just like now it's like every little injury, his body just gives him. It's like, yo, man, because he struggled heavy.
That's tough. For sure. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I guess to round it up a little bit, like let's make our top 4 predictions and
for Prem.
Andrew, we haven't heard much from you, man.
Top 4?
Please don't put Arsenal as your number 1, but let's go.
I'll start from the bottom, from the 4th. I'll go with what I've seen so far. I'll go with Liverpool as 4th.
Yeah.
And I'll go with I think Spurs as 3rd.
Spurs over Liverpool?
Yeah. So what I'm saying so far. Man City then Arsenal, obviously.
That's the Arsenal. Okay, nice.
Wait, Man City then Arsenal. Arsenal winning.
I just said
It's okay.
Why not?
We'll rewind the tapes.
Obviously, are you going? Oh my god!
No, you go.
I'll go top to bottom. So I think Man City will probably still end up winning it. I hope they don't.
Yeah.
I think they might. Obviously, I'm going to go Arsenal second. I think we can go all the way this year, and if we're lucky, just nudge it. So I'll put a second again. Liverpool 3rd. I feel like they will struggle. They are struggling, but they're getting the results. I feel like it might go against them for a little bit, and that might hurt them. I can't lie, for 4th right now. I have no idea. I'm not going to say Spurs because I don't think they're actually going to make it that 4th. At the top 6, yes, but I don't think they'll finish 4th. So for 4th.
Just throw us some money there, man. Wild card, yeah.
Aston Villa,
Newcastle, West Ham.
Wild card would be Brighton if they get knocked out of the Europa early and they can sustain the season.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think 4th, I'll have Arsenal.
Hey! I just hits.
Arsenal. 3rd. I just want to put Tottenham there, to be honest. Just so Tottenham finishes above Arsenal.
It can happen.
Man City 2nd, and then Liverpool. You know.
So you're doing comedy now.
You're just living in Nadia.
That's fantastic.
For me, honestly, I hope Man City don't win the title. But I have Man City 1st, Liverpool 2nd, Arsenal 3rd.
Decent.
Unfortunately, as the season has started, I would have to say Spurs. I want to say Chelsea, but there's nothing that suggests Chelsea can make it into top 4. But if for some weather's reason we're able to figure our shit out, then maybe we can get into top 4 or 5. The only reason I still have a little bit of hope that it's possible is I always say, like, when you're not playing in Europe, like, it's always a big advantage, right? And that advantage doesn't show until like midway
Later,
into the
yeah.
season, right? It doesn't really show now. So again, Chelsea have the next, call it say 3 to 5 games to actually
Fix up.
fix up and turn things around. Not turn things around in terms of like we're all the way there, but against like, okay, now we're winning games, you know, it's just getting better and better, we're more solid and things. And then maybe this season can turn around, but outside of that, I think my top 4 would have them outside of it and have Spurs in 4th position.
That's fair.
That's decent.
Yeah.
I think that's like the most reasonable list so far. Everyone was kind of.
Everyone was being emotional.
You know,
yeah.
as
See, I
my,
think
team,
Eti's
as my
list
team
was
is not
decent.
in there now,
Yeah, but
I have no choice.
I think my list was
depressing,
decent. I don't know about your list.
Yeah, of course. Arsenal first is decent. No, but it's depressing for I can't as a supporter like expect anything less from my team.
Yeah,
That's just me being
fair.
honest. Like we've got the players, we have the coach, we have a system that's running. I would not expect Liverpool to finish outside of the top 4.
Yeah, super slide.
You know,
Yeah.
and
That guy is
No, as a supporter, like honestly, as a fan, I feel like we can actually win it this year.
Yeah.
But objectively, if I'm being objective, obviously,
Obviously,
Man City is still.
yeah, for sure.
But we'll see.
I
We'll see
guess
how
we'll
it
see how
goes.
season goes on.
But yeah, so let's see how these predictions come about. And I think last objective of today is so everyone here actually was in the skills challenge.
Oh,
So we had like a podcast skills challenge with everyone with all of our friends. And so everyone here was there. It was really fun.
It was.
Not everyone wants something.
I would say
I want something. I want something, but they didn't. They, we decided not to release it. So
yeah, I think we'll never release it because it never happened. No, but I would say that that challenge was definitely a lot of fun. I've had a lot of people like just make comments about how we should do another one. I think the best part for me was the penalty shootout.
That was fun.
I think that was a lot of fun. I think the one-on-ones was a lot more tasking than I thought it would be.
Oh yeah.
Like, and then Eti, you were in the finals with Lade. What was that like?
Oh, it was because I think we went 3 times
Or
Yeah,
4.
like four.
Maybe
Like 4
more.
guys went back and forth a lot.
Well, it's physically draining,
Yeah.
right? Like obviously defending normally is already tough, but
Yeah.
defending a 1-on-1, I guess a guy like Ladi.
Yeah.
I know who would talk.
It was a chess match, honestly. I was just seeing one guy jockey from one area to the other. I'm like,
It was
Well,
fun.
It was
man.
fun. It was
Yeah.
fun.
I think like going forward, obviously, we'd also try and switch it up. Have people join, more people, new people. So I guess for everyone in Toronto too, if you're ever interested as well for the next one or the ones to come, then especially goalies. But for everyone else, if you feel like a baller, you want to show off yourself, and you can come try your luck.
shoot us a message. There's always prizes to win. So,
so why not? But yeah. Anything else?
No, I think we covered everything. But Eti, thank you for jumping on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me,
I
guys. It was
appreciate
fun.
it. We feel like
Appreciate
this is probably one of our best episodes.
Yeah.
was good.
And then hopefully we'll have you around again for sure.
Most
Definitely.
available.
Definitely being one of the skill challenges again. So. But thanks to everyone for listening up until this point. And hope to see you guys next episode.
Peace.
Peace.